Hi, everybody. Welcome to Queers and Soaps. I'm Tommy, and today I'm joined by Dayna. Oh, and Greg. I was so focused on your name, Dayna, and it not saying anything like old fart.
I know. I was busy logging in because I was the bad friend and did not was paying attention to my game on my phone like a kid. I lost time, so I couldn't think of anything clever.
Well, today we are back discussing My So Called Life, episodes 4 and 5. So I will roll the credits and we'll jump right into it. So these were definitely lighter in tone, I guess.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Episode 4. Well, okay, so let me start with, I feel like these two episodes, they were kind of doing like a theme of the week. Like everybody was going through a similar issue. So episode 4, I felt like daddy issues. Like the kids were going through daddy issues. The mom was going through daddy issues.
Literally and figuratively.
That's a good point. Yeah.
And I don't know if we've had that before in the last 3 episodes where it was kind of parallel the story. I don't think we have.
Now I kind of want to rewatch them to see if that's true. That if like everybody is ultimately going through a very similar strife or stress in their life in a different point in their lives. Like
right.
Going through the same kind of stress, but in a different way. Kind of
right.
Oh.
So Angela is just looking for any reason to hate her dad. She just wants to catch him in some kind of lie so she could be like, you're a liar.
Yes. She's out for blood. She's like, I mean, she even admits it eventually in the episode. Like, you're just waiting for him to do something wrong, so it justifies what you feel about him. And it's like, yeah, that's it.
I feel like it's still unclear what she knows. She knows that he was up to something, but she doesn't really know how far it went. Or
suspicious. He's acting very suspiciously.
Yeah.
And she's kind of like feeling the vibes of like not right. Like, because why would my dad be talking to a 20-something on the street, real friendly, like? And then she caught him talking on the phone. She did, like, he did say, like, it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. What's not gonna happen? You know what I mean? Like, she's a smart girl. She's not, you know, a naive, not too naive. She's naive, not that naive.
Right. And he notices that she's being distant with him, and he expresses that to the wife, and she's just like, that's just how she is. She's like, I think she even says, I thought I had the corner marketed on like the angsty, like, distant.
Oh my god, it makes me want to hate her.
I know, me too.
And throughout the episode, she's so her displeasure with herself and her awkwardness with herself is projected as snooty, snotty privilege. It really is like it's the I almost remember thinking the world revolved only around me.
I kind of get where she's coming from, even though she's awful. Because like, you just don't want to like I remember that attitude. You don't want to like something your parents like even her being like, don't touch my hair, don't touch my face.
Oh.
Yeah. Like, she felt a physical repulsion to like anything that her parents say or do. Like, it doesn't, even if it has nothing to do with her, it's like ew to any sort of statement of any type. But like, the way her mom was just acting to dad's Graham's like upset feelings about it, she's kind of like, welcome to the club, bro. Like, oh, thanks for thanks for joining me over here where, like, you know, she hates
in the battlefield.
me too. So, dude, I don't care. Can we Like, who cares if she doesn't like you? We got bigger fish to fry right now. So.
Meanwhile, the mom, the family business is being audited.
Yeah.
And apparently she took over the business when her father had a heart attack.
Stroke
A couple of years prior.
Some medical event.
He left her to run the business, but then he questions everything she does, which is frustrating to her. And now that they're being audited, she's kind of trying to flex a little and be like, we should do it this way. And he's like, no, that's not how we do it. He's kind of like, let the grown-ups talk when clearly she's 40. He even made like a sexist line. Like, I think because Greg was like, did he just say, he said something like, this is what happens when you send a woman or a girl to do a man's job. Like, like,
meanwhile, whatever happened is his fault.
Right.
Yes, of course it is. Like, this is actually so crazy because this speaks to what a lot of like millennials are dealing with currently with their like older parents, is that like they're all just still consider them children. I just felt this myself when I visited my mom. Like, I felt like I was still like in my late teens, early 20s, like just couldn't possibly figure anything out without her telling me how to do it. And it's like, I'm in my mid 30s. I can figure out loaded posture or like, some things like that.
Yeah, it is. It's really rough because even like with my mother, I'm a really good cook, and I'm a really good cook because she taught me how to be a really good cook.
Yeah.
And like, it's because of her and me listening to her is why I'm such a good cook. And I don't know what she said the other day, and I was like gonna make something or whatever it was. I like got like do it this way, step-by-step directions on like how to do something, and I'm like, yes, Mom.
I'm aware of how to do it. Thank you. Yeah,
and I know how to do it because of you.
Right, like you taught me. So like that whole mess, and he was also doing a lot of micros like, wow, I ran this place for 40 years and I never got audited. Like little things that like passive aggressive digs at her like the entire time was killing me. Like this episode was the mom's episode. Like I felt like her anxiety through the whole thing. Yeah. Like all the scenes where she kept waking up going like, or she just laying there talking to Graham about it. Like, I'm scared. I feel like I'm in trouble. Like the IRS is gonna come ground me. I was like, I know that feeling.
This is the episode where they were having like two different conversations in bed. Like he was complaining about Angela and she was like talking about the audit, and they were just like not responding to each other. They were just like talking about their own issues.
Just laying in bed, just like literally sitting there looking in their coffins, just going on about how they're
their anxieties.
And I was like, I feel this on such a level right now. Like, I can't tell you how much more I relate to the parents in this show than I do the teenagers.
You relate to the parents more?
Woo! I'm like, yeah, man, I feel you.
So the dad apparently finagled getting free Grateful Dead tickets. And because I guess he's trying to get on Angela's good side, he offers to give them to Rayanne and Angela.
Right. Well, before let's take two steps back before it. He has the Grateful Dead tickets, invites his brother. Did he not realize? Did not care the importance of the audit the same night?
Oh, right.
Well, I think he got
about him going out after the audit, so he was like, "All right." That's when he, in his head, decided he was going to give it to the girls.
Yeah. But I think Graham didn't know about the audit. Got the tickets prior to knowing about the audit, and put it together that they should probably care about the audit more than going to the concert, even though that's something that like he got access to. And then his genius thought, he was like, "Oh, let's give it to my teenage kids."
So Rayanne is like over the moon. She loves the Grateful Dead. Her mom is actually going to the concert. with her friends.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's almost like Angela like is looking to sabotage it. Like, I don't know. I got weird vibes from this whole thing. Like, I was like, I hope this show isn't going in a direction where Rayanne has a crush on Angela's dad and like tries to seduce him.
I was the same thing. I'm like, are they trying to lay some seed like groundwork here that like Rayanne may make a pass at her dad at one point? That'll be like a conflict between her and Angela, but then like it felt like there was a lot of heavy jealousy. Rayanne was just acting like Rayanne, like she was just chilling, she talks to everyone the same. There is no like authority for her, you know.
Yeah.
So kind of vibe.
She is the authority.
Yeah, like she just kind of is. Like everyone there, like you know what I mean. Like there's like Mister this or Ma'am that. It's just kind of like, hey Graham, what's up, brother? Like you know. And I think Angela being pissy about her dad maybe stepping out on mom and like watching the way they're interacting. Like, how dare you talk to my best friend? Like, you're a bad person. So like
he was like cooking pancakes with Rayanne, and it wasn't flirty, but because we've seen him talking to a younger woman, it felt like it could go there.
Sure.
Agreed.
I do not disagree at all because I was like, wait, did something happen here? Yeah, like I don't disagree at all, but I also think it is.
I was like holding my breath. Like
it could just be the dynamics of dad being a dad, that his daughter is just jealous of the attention that she is getting, and she is getting an attention that she does not get from her own father. And I think that they didn't. I bet that's how it was written, but it didn't play that way. It kind of had a second of veering into the wrong direction.
Yeah.
I mean, like Rayanne's comments about her dad after this scene don't help the case of like innocence on this, but like she also does very much heavily say like you sure are lucky that you have a dad like in your life that would make murders with you and stuff like that. Like so like that's a lot of Angela's issue with for me is that there is literally no gratitude on her end for anything that's happening in her life.
So
I know.
Obviously, they always have to.
I don't even believe in violence, but like she makes me so mad. I'm like, as my father said, I'm gonna smack that smirk off your face.
Yeah, right. I feel like I brought you in this world. I could take you out of it.
So they always have to sprinkle in her little crush on Jordan. It was like Jordan Catalano. So because she's looking for anything to say to him, she was like, "Oh, I owe you $30 for the fake ID."
Yes.
Fake ID.
Yeah. Oh.
So
that was so creepy. That moment.
She just takes the tickets out and she's just like, like fanning herself with
wow. Oh my god, these tickets? These Grateful Dead concert? These tickets?
I was like, what is she doing? I was like, is she trying to see if he's a fan of the Grateful Dead? And then is he gonna give him Rayanne's ticket? Like
it could have she would have sold. Yes. Angela was willing to sell anyone, which she technically did. She sold out her father, she sold out her best friend just to talk to Jordan, and even selling out by giving him the tickets was her own in to talk to him, and she used it as currency.
Yeah.
I mean, like, she could have, it would have been even more messed up if she was just like, oh, well, you can come. I have an extra ticket. You go. That would have been even more messed up. But she just straight up, like, here you go. Have all the tickets. So, like, What?
I think Ricky even called her out. He was just like, "Did you do it because like he was talking to you?" Or whatever.
Yeah.
As an excuse to
Absolutely.
get him to talk to you.
Angela's not a good friend to literally anyone, it seems. It's Rand's not even like immune to it. Like she kind of just does ever.
So
Like,
Rayanne's
who
pissed.
cares?
Rightfully so.
Because no,
I'd
you
be pissed.
didn't just give away her ticket. You gave away Rayanne's ticket. So, well,
Yeah.
she scalped them.
Yeah.
But we find out later that Rayanne went anyway. After she like frosted her out for a few days. And that's when they have that like heart to heart where she's like, "You're lucky that you have a dad that would just give you things." She's like, "I don't have that."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh.
The mother kind of, she's fighting with the father because she's pretty much just like, "We'll pay whatever the back taxes are to the auditor." And he's like, "What?"
Yeah.
And she's like, "No." She's like, "This is what we're gonna do." She's like, "We're gonna wrap this up in a bow. We're just gonna do the right thing and pay what we owe."
Well, that's because he gave the auditor
a cooked book,
falsified documents that is, acceptable to remember and recall as much as you possibly can. And then he was so fumbling over his words that he threw himself under the bus, literally and figuratively, of what he was trying to write off, the Buick.
Exactly.
But then still try to like say it was the daughter's fault.
Of course. Because she technically did the return but numbers that were not correct.
Right. She
So
submitted the paperwork with the
father's numbers.
The numbers that were there.
Exactly. So like the entire time she kept saying like, we can't do it this way, we shouldn't do it this way, shouldn't invite him to the home, we shouldn't, we need to talk to them. Like he just goes over her head and keeps doing all these things, keeps like showing up and like making appointments without her knowing that. It's just kind of like it's tough. It's a tough one. So disrespectful.
So he ends up showing up at the office as she's like working late and done for the day. And she must have gone through similar situations like this, like as far as like him not admitting that he's wrong, because she flat out said, "I know you're here to apologize to me."
Yeah.
And I guess in his roundabout way, like him saying, "I'll bring you for pie," is his way of apologizing, because he never actually says, "I'm sorry."
No, he doesn't say anything at all to what she like emotes to him. Like he's telling him like, I've done everything you've ever needed me to do. Like I jumped when you needed me to, when you were down, I took care of the business. Like I need to be able to make these decisions. Like you can't be like a lingering thing like over my head about it. You have to deal with that. Like deal with whatever it is like is going on with you because I gotta run this business. Is basically what it is. And he just doesn't let go. And he's again still sees her as a child.
Mm-hmm.
Like a line where he was like, "Oh, well, this is just what happens when you raise girls like constantly on like eggshells or whatever." And it's like, it's because you don't see her as a woman or a person. You
right.
Her as a little girl that you must protect at all costs that can't do anything. It's just disrespectful. That's what it is. He doesn't see her as a human being.
I wonder if they'll ever delve deeper into like her feelings about being adopted. Like we only heard it from Angela's brain, like that she's been searching for her birth parents, but like I wonder if they'll ever go into that story with the mom.
Well, there's not much material to get into, to be fair. I mean, like maybe this could be like a little peek into like what happens later in the season. It's just one episode. But it seems like Angela and her grandfather are very close.
Yeah.
Like there was such a hilarious scene when he first shows up and he's like giving her a hug and she's like hugging him back, and both her parents are like looking at it like like people who are starving watch someone eat.
Yeah,
Like,
they're like she never hugged
No,
us.
legit,
no
absolutely.
one hugs us. Can no one
She
hug
was like
us?
literally like a baby being hugged, smiling, and they were just like, she's smiling, she's hugging, she doesn't do that to us.
No, man, we don't get none of
We
that.
feed her, we clothe her, we give her a house to live in.
Legit. That's absolutely that is a statement.
But there was some other cool, great lines. Like I think when they were coming back after all this, like I thought were pretty poignant to parenthood and like what it's like to be raising a human. Essentially, like it's complicated and complex in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Angela. So because the mother doesn't like the idea of Angela going to the concert with Rayanne by themselves, the father has to like take the tickets back, but he forgets to have that conversation. But Angela has already sold the tickets, and she's making this fake fight over tickets that don't exist anymore because she doesn't want to admit that she gave them away, and she like runs out of the house as if she's going to the concert.
I don't even think it's she didn't want to tell him that she gave it away. She just wants to be in a constant battle with walls up and barbed wire and machine guns going off at all times.
It's like she's willing to do or say whatever it takes to not be perceived in the wrong, which is, of course, classic for anyone a lot of the time. But, like, even as much as a teenager, like, she's like, this is my dad's wrong, and he's been the bad guy
I was
this
gonna
whole
say
time. I can't.
it's like that. I need to take the tickets back is the thing she needed to fight him.
Yeah, like this is like there's no way that I could be perceived in the wrong on this. Like he's the one who's cheating on mom, which I'm sure eventually she's gonna blurt out at one point or another.
Right.
Be like, hey, what? Yeah.
She even was like going through his like work suitcase, and she got caught, and was like, "Oh, I lost a part of my homework."
And Dad's not stupid,
No.
and not that he thinks that she is. I don't think he does not know that she knows.
No. So he's probably like, why was she looking at my suitcase?
I don't know.
What was she looking for?
I don't know because they kind of he like saw her listening, like she walked the stairs and he was on the phone cutting things off, and I think there was like a moment where he had his back turned and he turned around after like hanging up and saw her standing there.
Yeah.
So it was a more of a situation like how much does she know is in question. Does she know what her context is? Like, did she listen to the whole thing? There's something, and the way she's acting is giving him alarm bells as to like, oh, she knows something. Because like, why would she act this way towards me? I'm the favorite, remember? Like we established, I'm the non-favorite here. And now after that, and ever since that's happened, she's been acting weird. That's what he says. Like it's been a couple days. She's acting really moody towards me. Blah 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 blah. And mom's like, I could care less. She's been acting like that towards me since like a year ago or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, and yeah. So I don't know. There could be a through line somewhere down the line where she ultimately blurts it out, or like he's been asking like, "What's your problem? Tell me about it." And
she's gonna say it eventually.
Oh yeah.
So she ends up hiding in Brian's car next door, and it's freezing. Do we find out it's in Pittsburgh? It's in Pittsburgh. I was like, where do they live? I like didn't remember them saying like where it was located.
The suburb of Pittsburgh starts with an R. I forgot.
Oh. And Brian catches her because he's taking out the garbage, and she tells him what happened, and it's freezing. He offers her a sweater. I think he says something like it's sweaty, and she's just like, ew, gross. And then she starts like making fun of him in her head again. And then his parents are coming for him, and his parents start like screaming like for him to come in or whatever. And she says something like in her head, Nothing makes things more awkward than hearing somebody being yelled at in front of you or something.
So uncomfortable.
But then her dad comes out because he's looking. I didn't know what he was looking at that moment, but I put it together later. He's looking at the gutters. And I was like, I was like, why is he outside with a flashlight? I didn't know what he was looking at. But he catches Angela, sees that she didn't go to the concert. I didn't take away from that scene that he knew that she lied or didn't have the tickets because they didn't really follow up. He just like went in looking angry, and I'm like,
at the very, very end, like when she goes, like her mom sends her outside while he is actually working on the gutters while he's listening to the Grateful Dead on the radio.
Mm-hmm.
She does go, so the tickets, like, you know, he's like, how, I guess he said about scalping them, and she's like, I scalped them, and he's just like, oh, and they're like 100, it was like 60, I was like $30 per ticket, which was what for the Grateful Dead was that I could only dream of. But after a while, he's like, oh, so that's like $120 or something like that, like, or there's $60 a piece. So he's like, and she's like, oh, but I paid the guy like $30. I owed a guy $30. And he's like, okay, I don't know anything about that, but so you net profit $90. So he does find out.
But the $30
sold them or whatever, but
the $30, now that you just said it, was not his retaining fee. It was the driver's license.
Yeah.
I just connected it.
Because he said, he's like, who did you owe $30? And she was like, I don't want to talk about it. Like, she did her whole teenage thing. Like, stop asking questions. I don't want to talk about it. Like, none of your business.
God, I know you're like my parent. Of course, like, even though she got her ass caught, sold tickets that her dad got for free, which is BS, she had this air of like,
well,
yes,
like, you know, like, why am I here? Like, why am I talking to you? This is so, like, you're wasting my time right now.
Like, it was all very real. The mom was trying to like build a bridge. That's why she was like, take this out to your father. And so she literally was gonna like put it there and leave, but then he started talking. He needed help, and she was just like, now, like, yes, now he's on the ladder, like, and she's just like,
seriously. But like before that, like, she the mom tells Grant, like, tells the dad, like, hey, like, you have to be, because she makes this realization that like there was never this moment where like my dad accepted me for like the person I was growing into. Like, he always wanted me to be the little girl that, like, you know, didn't like his scratchy beard or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And you just need to like always be there. Like, when it keeps pushing you away, you keep coming back. Like, never stay away. Always be there for her, regardless of like what she does. It's like, this is the time. Like, they're pushing you away on purpose because they want to make sure that your love is actually unconditional. Like, they can do whatever.
It's a constant test.
Yes, all day long, every
so that
day.
When you don't pass the test, they can be like, "See, I knew it."
Exactly. And when someone framed it like that for me, I was like, you know what? That's so true, because like, you're constantly questioning everything that's you've been told, probably your whole life, because your hormones are all crazy. Yeah. And like, this is exactly what you're doing. Like, every single thing is a test for the parents to pass or flat, and which makes me angry on the parents' behalf, because like, after going through a decade and some change of wiping her butt, feeding her, clothing her, putting a roof over her head, and supporting her, apparently they need to be tested. Like, you know, on top of it. That's all I kept thinking was like, oh,
sorry, mom and dad.
Right? I know you feel me on this one. So it's just like, and of course, I think he kind of takes that advice like legitimately and kind of says like, well, you're going to have to tell me when you have to report that income, which I was like, oh, zing.
Yeah.
It was very poignant thing.
So that was pretty much how the episode ended. It was pretty lighthearted compared to the others.
It was very heavily parenthood based, a lot of basing around parenthood and daddy issues, just like you said.
So I had texted Dayna last night that I saw the title of episode 5 was titled The Zit, and I was like, that sounds like it's gonna be angsty. It wasn't as angsty as I thought
it was. It was.
Didn't want to take advice from my mom how to like properly take care of the zit. Don't touch my face.
It made me want to be like, I should look at my face. You know, the obsessiveness over like your complexion. Oh,
the whole time. The whole episode that she was like this, I was like, stop touching it. You're gonna make it oily and worse.
Stop touching your face.
And even Ricky was like, don't put concealer on it. You're gonna clog your pores. I was like, listen to the gay boy.
Oh, he's telling you. He's telling you. Oh yeah.
But it opens up with what's her name? I can never remember her name. Her ex-best friend.
Sharon. I picked that up. So yeah,
Sharon. Has a boyfriend. Looks like he's a football player. So now she's all like destroyed inside that Sharon has a boyfriend and she doesn't. And also there apparently was a poll taken by some football players rating the sophomore girls. Anywhere from who has the biggest boobs to who's the sluttiest, which Rayanne got nominated for sluttiest, and she's like so excited about it.
Good Rayanne. I love her sense of humor. Like sometimes I feel like she's a little too unhinged, but other times you're just kind of like,
she makes me anxious.
This girl is she makes it.
She makes me anxious. I like her, but she's a little too twitchy, which gives me anxiety.
Yeah. Well, I feel like she's that girl that, like, obviously there's some trauma, lots of unresolved trauma underneath all that extra behavior, the over-excitedness about being called a slut. Like, not everybody feels the need to do that unless they got something going on to, like, feel like that's a coping mechanism they need to use, you know? Like, it's kind of... Because it's like, I'm sure it's still not super great. Like, why are they judging me?
So, the theme of this episode that I felt like was kind of parallel between the mom and Angela was, I guess, insecurity over your looks. She's having insecurity over aging because I guess she was always considered the pretty girl in high school. And we saw Sharon's mom again, who apparently was overweight in high school, but loves the way she looks now. And it's like the flip side. Now Angela's mom feels like she's getting, lines and is not loving so much the way she looks.
Yeah. The idea of perfection, like having to be perfect, like not being too pretty all the time or too aware of how pretty you are,
Yeah. Apparently there's a mother-daughter fashion show that Angela and her have participated in, and the family's making fun of her that she just wants to be called the prettiest mom. It's a vanity thing.
I don't blame her. I don't. The way her family like rags on her all the time.
She's like, this is my one thing.
Meanwhile, Danielle wants to do it so bad, and nobody's paying attention to Danielle.
Exactly.
The girl does handstands in the background. She's always like, me, pay attention to me. Nobody pays attention to her. She's gonna have issues. She's 15.
It's already there. But yeah, I kind of just thought the whole time that like they should just give the mom a damn break. Like let her have this one thing, this one nice thing that makes her feel good about herself. Because otherwise, like y'all be just dragging her. Every breath you breathe, like just dragging her.
So before we knew about the poll, I thought it was weird that Brian was staring at Sharon's breasts. At first I wasn't sure that's what he was doing, and I was like, wow, I feel like they're really focusing on her chest right now. So apparently she was voted the one with the best breasts in the 10th grade. And she doesn't know about this poll. And
Yeah.
Angela runs into her in the bathroom and asks if she's going to be participating in the mother-daughter fashion show again because her mom wants her to. And she kind of ignores her and doesn't answer. And she's like, wow. She's like, this is how it's going to be. You can't even ask a question. And I died when she was like, go pop your zit.
True story.
And then
That was like a great
Angela's class came out and she was just like, congratulations on the poll.
On the poll, both of them.
Oh my God, yeah. The whole like it was just like, oh, girlfriend. I kind of hate it because you can tell like they definitely still should be friends, and like the whole reason they're not is stupid. And I felt like Angela was trying to extend some level of an olive branch to her because like they're both obviously Sharon didn't quite get teenage angst just yet. Now she is because now mom's totally not cool and she doesn't want to do it either because like ew, you know. But
I thought it was funny when the mom took Angela, I guess, makeup shopping. And
that queen behind the counter was just selling.
I think he was like, oh, pretty girl. And the mom thought he was talking to her, but he was looking right at Angela.
Gotta make that commish.
He's like, I love Come on. Angela's like touching her pimple, like, my skin?
I feel like Angela would walk around like this if she could. So, what do you mean? Me? I'm fine.
And then he like tells the mom that she could use like basically wrinkle cream for her lines, and she's just like, he's like, do you want me to wrap this up? And she's like, yeah.
She's like, bitch.
Oh God, can't. These poor women, they can't live their lives. They're just trying to just be out in the world, and everybody got to get a quick dime off of them, eh?
So the mom is making the dresses for them to wear, and she has Angela try it on, and Angela's like, I don't want to do that. Like, she's just like being moody and like, I don't even want to do this. And she's like, well, you have to. I've already devoted so much time to it. And she's like, I don't care. And then she has like this mental breakdown, and it's just like, you want me to be pretty like you, but I'm not. And the mom, I feel like, it's just like, oh my God, you think I'm pretty? But also, you know, concerned that her daughter's crying and doesn't think she's pretty. But she's like, oh. But
that's also hysterical coming from Claire Danes,
right?
One of the most beautiful women ever. What? She's like the perfect teen angst girl. Like all the women, like girls wanted to be her after this. Is just like why to me.
Also, on the topic of fashion, I feel like she wears those like long sleeve like plaid dresses in every episode. I feel like that's at least one she wears.
Yes. So total fun fact. I was reading that they tried to stay true to the time frame of what was going on at the time, that you didn't have a new outfit for every single episode. So they had a very small wardrobe, and then the actors mixed and matched their small wardrobe to wear from episode to episode, just like it would have been done at that time. And that was done on purpose. Because regular people would do it that way, that they were doing it that way. So they had a tiny wardrobe.
Okay.
And they chose and mixed and matched how they were going to wear it, whether it was going to be the plaid on top or the plaid underneath, or how many layers that they were going to wear to keep with the top, you know, the moment.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I like that. I actually saw something on Instagram today from around, I guess, 94, because Claire Danes was obviously on the show. And it was just like, just Claire Danes in a chair. And it was just like her doing different poses, sitting in like a chair. So there's another bathroom scene with Sharon and Angela. And now Sharon is asking her if she's doing it. And she's like, because my mom says that you are. And she's like, I'm not doing it, but I think she's in denial. And
Mhm.
Angela's like, why do girls always have to tear each other down? And they kind of have like this almost makeup moment where they could be friends, but then Rayanne walks in and Angela just
Well,
kind
Angela makes
of
it weird. I mean, Angela makes it weird, like immediately. Like she stops talking to Sharon. She literally stops like almost mid sentence and turns around and turns her back on Sharon.
Yeah.
And Sharon leaves the bathroom. And Rhiannon's like, you can be friends with her if you want to. Like you don't have to.
She's probably the more real, one of the more realist characters with damage.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know,
It's
because
you get
Rianne kind of like, she didn't giggle, but she was just kind of like, you can be friends with her again if you want to. But the way she said it, I could see Angela taking it like, but if you're friends with her, we're not going to be friends kind of situation. Like, I could see Angela taking it.
Yeah.
Because I
I'd
think,
imagine that she'd be jealous if she did. Like if Angela took her up on that and was like, okay, fine, then I would think there would be some level of conflict there.
right.
For sure.
Also, Ricky decided that he was going to start using the men's rooms. Because like apparently I guess people have been complaining about him being in the girls' room, and he's like, I'm not trying to do it in like a sexual way. He's like, I just like to hang around girls.
What he's saying, he's like, I don't like girls like that. Like basically saying, like, I don't like girls like that. I just want to hang out with them. They're more fun.
Yeah.
And it was just like, oh, Ricky.
Goodbye, leaky faucets. Goodbye, hot radiator.
He was like, goodbye, soap dispenser that never has
that never has soap in it.
Yeah, I was thinking also how much that bathroom was like wrecked, like all covered in graffiti. I'm like, dang, like, jeez.
Yeah,
I don't
one of
remember
the things that was said by the actors is that they were glad that that the storyline was written for him to be in the bathroom so he could be in more storylines, since most of the scenes took place in the bathroom.
Yeah. Well, that's where in high school that did happen a lot. I mean, like even at work, like we would go to the like we need to talk in the bathroom, like because like that's the only private place to really like talk smack without like, getting caught or whatever. But yeah, again, he's a safe, wonderful boy that all the girlies love, except for apparently some, and they're not good people.
And poor Brian's just like, he's like, did I miss a day? He's like, all of a sudden everybody's getting paired off and I don't understand why. And he's like, he doesn't get it. I guess his hormones are catching up with him.
Yeah, this was probably the first episode that there was hormones in him.
Yeah.
Now, there's been an admiring, there's always been a looking but looking away kind of deal, and now it's like he could smell the estrogen in the air.
Oh, side note, in the previous episode when the dad was fixing the gutter, Brian was like rollerblading, and he like the dad like asked him for help, and he just like rollerbladed away like you didn't hear him.
Could have had headphones on.
He was like, hey, could you help me out? And he just like left.
I didn't hear you. Gotta go. Bye.
So Danielle, the little sister, basically is like implied.
Look at me.
She's like keeps doing this cheerleader chant, and Angela's like, will you stop it? You're driving me crazy. And she's complaining about the fashion show, and the daughter's basically like, you don't know what you have. Like, you have it so good. Like, I want to do it, but she'll never ask me kind of situation.
Which is not even the intent of mom.
Yeah.
Like, mom is desperately trying to cling on to.
She has this, she's actually verbalized this. She has this thought in her head that Angela's going to go to college and never talk to them again. Like, she's going to go to a different state and never come home and never talk to them.
that's so funny. That whole scene was actually hysterical because when the way Graham reported, he's like, "Are you? Is this a 2-person conversation? Can anyone join?" Like, because she just kept talking and talking about just vomit all of her anxieties about like what's going on. And I was just like, "This is hysterical." It just goes to show, like, he knows this woman, like he's aware of how she can kind of go off the deep end, and he reeling her back like, all right, let's come back down to earth here. Like, let's not pretend like she's gonna go, she's only 16 or 15 or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, she's not gonna disappear like in an instant. But yeah, I feel bad for the little sister Danielle. I think she desperately needs some attention, and her mom is so focused on her older sister that if she just pivoted her efforts into her younger daughter, while she still has time with her, I feel like it would be better. Like, let Angela do her thing, you know.
Yeah.
Distance makes the heart grow fonder.
Sharon ends up breaking up with her boyfriend because she thinks he had something to do with the poll, and she thinks that's the only reason why he's dating her is because of her body. Poor guy. He was very confused about that whole thing.
Because he's like, well, they're nice, but there's more.
Yeah.
But then he like wants to talk to her, and he like steals her shoe really quick so that she'll talk to him.
I was weirdly nervous about this whole interaction because, like, I think it was her and Brian were in the room, or so she was with someone.
She was by herself, and then he came in, stole her shoe because he wanted to talk to her. Brian walked in, and the jock like pushed him out and like closed the door.
Gotcha. So, like, that whole interaction kind of like freaked me out because I was like, what is he trying to do to her, like, in this scenario? Like, he was basically upset, wanted to talk to her and stuff. So I was like, I hope nothing bad's gonna happen to her. But then it turned into a very sweet gesture where he's like, there's so much more, like you're saying, there's so much more about you that I like than, like, of course, I love the fact that you have wonderful breasts, but I'm not gonna.
But it's struggling to like express the other reasons why he likes her was very realistic and so awkward to watch. Like, he clearly was older than 15, but he was portraying a 15-year-old who couldn't express his feelings of why he liked this girl. He's like, you smile, and like, because you're you know? And that was good enough for her.
I love how he says, like, I could tell you liked me. So, like, the idea of being attractive also made him want to be with her too. I mean, it works. She does forgive him, but he's like doing that thing that some guys do where like they be like, well, I didn't personally write the poll, so it's not my fault. And it's like, no, you could have stopped your friends from writing it, or told your friends it was not cool for writing it, or that it objectified me, or done literally any of those things. Like that whole like, I'm a nice guy, I'm not like them kind of routine, which is
So Angela ends up getting Danielle into the fashion show with her mother. And I said at the end of the episode to Greg, all of those dresses were hideous on every pair. The hair, though, with the side ponytail, I was like, they were still crimping hair because it was crimped. In 1994, they were still crimping hair.
Oh, crimping hair. Oh, Raylan's braids. Talk about Raylan's braids. Like, when she came back from
the those are cool.
Like, I remember there was time when we were obsessed with like braiding our hair because of course we didn't have a crimper, but braiding your hair in small braids like that was giving you the same style. So like I was like, oh my God, is that time? It's so crazy. It's not just from our dresses, Tommy. We didn't know what we were doing, and we liked floral prints.
I was gonna say there's a lot of floral.
Probably, you know, like, come on.
I think Sharon was wearing a vest.
Oh yeah, a lot of this is right before we got into a lot of layering. You know, and it was like camisole on top of scarf on top of scarf. Oh, those days.
Yes.
Yeah. We're getting there. We're so close.
Yeah.
And that was a real song
Yeah.
that they were playing. I don't know the name of it, but I was like, oh, this is a real music that they're playing. So good for them getting the music rights. It was very much of that time.
Yes, of course. I'm glad Danielle got her time to shine with her mom.
And
It was nice.
Angela smiled. She had this whole
Yeah.
revelation of everybody has to be who they are, and that's beautiful. And I was just she had this whole deep 15-year-old moment, and she smiled.
Yeah, well, we had our first like wholesome moment.
Right.
To be ruined.
To be ruined.
By her next thought.
By her next thought. And Jordan in this episode, I feel like he always looks like he has a headache, which goes back to the pilot where she's like, he always looks like he's in pain when he just leans. But he was like asleep during class. I feel like he's always like picking his ear.
Yeah.
Jared Leto is like, I have an idea for the character. He's constantly, because he has no brain. He's looking for his brain.
I'll tell you what, him and Brian had a nice little moment in class about metamorphosis. And I thought that was nice. Like then like I was like giving the DL on like the book and kind of giving everybody like legitimate, like they were getting into it. Like I feel like we're getting into it a little bit.
So there was a monetary exchange between the two of them. So the exchange was he gave him knowledge, and Jared Leto's character said she likes you, so he gave him confidence of testosterone. Why don't you ask her out on a date? And there was that exchange that was there. That was an unspoken monetary exchange between the two of them.
You're right.
Could you imagine Raylan and Brian dating? Because she was like, she was joking, but she was like, you never invite me over anymore. Meanwhile, they just like force themselves into his house.
Right. But like opposites attract sometimes. Like some people like Brian are just too painfully shy, you know? Like they need someone that is an extroverted person to like rip them out. Otherwise they will stay like literally in that same shell.
I feel like Raylan dating Brian would be the catalyst for Angela to realize that she likes Brian.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out like where is Jordan and Angela's like love actually supposed to like manifest? Because to me it just feels like he's still this fantasy guy.
Yeah.
And she's still treating him such. And
it doesn't feel like a love story. It just feels like an obsession.
And or it just feels like we're just living Angela's story from Angela's point of view only. Like we're not really understanding what's going on with anybody else internally, like other than little bits and pieces that they share with Angela. So we're really only getting this from Angela's point of view.
Yeah, absolutely.
As Greg likes to say, her brain, her thoughts.
Her brain, her thoughts, her anxiety.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That she is not seeing.
He grown so much during
anything. She does not see anybody else's feelings. She doesn't see anybody else's discomfort. She doesn't see anybody else's admiration. It really, like, good job.
Yeah, like if the intent of the writers was to solely focus in on this girl, they're doing it.
Yeah.
Nailing it.
Oh, I hate her.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think I said after the end of this episode or the end of the previous one where I was like, I still don't like Angela. Like I still don't like her. Like not as a person. She doesn't have any redeeming qualities. Like she begrudgingly does the right thing. Like even to her new friend, she she quite literally took the joy away from her by selling those concert tickets just for her own benefit. It's mess. She's not a good friend, and it's hard to feel sort of like I'm not rooting for her. I'm rooting for literally everyone else around her, not her.
Claire Danes, great job.
Because they're all her victims. That's why we're rooting for them.
Seriously. Oh man, it's tough.
Do you have anything else to add on these episodes that we missed?
No, not really.
So I noticed that the next episode's title is The Substitute, and I read the description. It sounds like the girls might have a crush on the substitute teacher. So I wonder if that's going to create some drama. But again, that sounds like a more lighthearted episode. I want to get more into Ricky. I want to know more about his home life and like.
That's the thing. Are we ever
18 in 1994?
Right. And I do too. I just don't know if they're ever going to go there because of how the stories just have all been centralized around Angela's feelings, like about everything.
I think they are going to go there because I feel like I've read things or seen clips over the years like centered around his character. So I feel like there might be something.
He's by far more interesting. Like everyone around her is living a way more interesting life than Angela really is. Like,
and that's why she dyed her hair red.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah, she knows it too because she knows that she has the quintessential, mom, dad, two sisters. She gets what she wants what she gets, and everybody else around her is, has some type of damage that is associated with them, and she's just like, my
life's too perfect. I hate my life.
Like it's almost she's trying to perform like trauma in her life, like she's trying to be like them. She feels like she needs to act like as if she has. That's why she was trying to convince Raylan, like, oh, my dad's not that great because I saw him in the street once talking to a young lady.
Correct.
It's not as cool as you would think. And then on top of that, she tries to build all this stuff up with Jordan, and it's like, girlfriend, you are a privileged young girl, and you have no idea, none whatsoever.
Right. All right. Well, anything else? No. All right. Well,
nailed
it. Thank you for joining us for another edition of My So-Called Life. As always, you can find us on all the socials at Queers and Soaps. And until next time, have a great night. Bye.